Hi there, my name is Dan Aberhart. My company is Aberhart Ag Solutions, and we are the master distributor for a product that I want to tell you about here today called Bio-Sul Premium Plus and what it can do for your farm on the sulfur side. But I wanted to create a little bit more personalized video presentation for you and walk you through our sulfur success roadmap to give you a little bit of an idea, very short period of time, exactly what this product can do for your farm, because it's very exciting and it's a really unique opportunity. And I'm really excited to tell you about it and what it's going to do for you. So let's just drill into this sulfur success roadmap. So this is just gives me a little bit of a roadmap to walk you through exactly what the value proposition is for this product. So what is Bio-Sul Premium Plus? It is a combination of elemental sulfur and compost. So the compost is derived from urban waste, could be organics, grocery waste, could be leaf and yard waste, all kinds of good stuff like that. But the bottom line is we're taking away waste from urban centers, which is a great sustainability story, which is a big part of all of our businesses going forward. And the other element of the product, if you will, is elemental sulfur, which is a byproduct of the oil and gas industry. And Bio-Sul Premium Plus, I'll get more into the pricing, but really we're comparing this long-term strategy versus annual applications of either ammonium sulfate or liquid sulfur. And why would you want to switch? Well, there's all kinds of advantages. And I think one of the big things is that it's going to be talked about a lot more going forward is that products like ammonium sulfate, liquid sulfur, specifically ammonium sulfate, it is a high salt index product that when it gets manufactured, it basically becomes a salt, becomes like table salt. So then we put it in your seed, robs the seed of moisture. There can be points at which it's toxic essentially, and especially, in adverse conditions, and it's affecting the pH of our soils as we go. And it's bulky. It's a bugger to handle through the drill often. Guys talk about what will actually plug in the drill. That in high humidity circumstances, ammonium sulfate's the one that gets plugged in the drill, and it takes up a lot of room in the drill, and drills are really expensive. So our approach with Bio-Sul Premium Plus is we can apply large amounts of it on the soil surface for a long-term application because of how it releases, and I'll drill down a little bit more on that. But because of the way it releases agronomically, we can afford to put on high rates because of the price point. We can put on more sulfur, way more sulfur than you can logistically or agronomically or economically with either AMS or liquid sulfur. And essentially this long-term program, one application will get you 3 to 5 years, and it releases in conjunction with good growing conditions over time. That's the really exciting part. So we've been doing this now in Saskatchewan, Manitoba as a distributor. We're just taking over Alberta now. We've been doing this for the last 5 years, and guys have been growing their biggest crops. This sulfur supply has always been there for them, and it has never let them down. And most fellas and gals don't know exactly how much sulfur it takes. So if you're growing 45 bushels of canola and you're growing 55 bushels of wheat and 50 bushels of peas and 45 of canola and 35 lentils, just for example, that you need 83 pounds of actual in a 5-year rotation. And many guys are pushing these yields depending where you're at. But it's very hard with AMS or liquid sulfur to physically get that much down. So that's why we look at an elemental sulfur strategy. So the exciting thing about elemental sulfur is agronomically, low salt index. It's a slow drip of pH. It is a lower pH, but it's not quite like the slam bam, thank you ma'am, of the AMS. Okay. It's a more natural, release of acidity. And the release of acidity actually helps some of the other nutrients become available. It's a synergistic reaction with high rates of sulfur in the soil. And I think that's part of why the Bio-Sul works so well, is that halo of acidity around the particles that releases other things. But the key is this elemental sulfur does not release, does not leach, does not become available in the soil until it's activated by biological activity, which, much like for humans, what keeps us alive, it's being at the right temperature, which is essentially growing conditions temperature. If it's too cold, things will slow down. It's really heat that gets the biology going. You got to have enough moisture in the soil to get things rolling, right? The biology needs moisture and oxygen. It needs air to oxidize. And then the key to all that is the variable particle size, because it's really the rate of biological conversion is a function of surface area. So the smaller the surface area by many, many multiples, the more release that you get. So what we get over time is, because we have different particle sizes that are being released at different rates, the fine stuff less than 250 microns is essentially immediately available. As we go up the ladder in particle sizes, that's what you see, different rates of release. So they're all releasing to some degree. The fine stuff's almost immediately available. You're going to get release in year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5. Essentially, it's going to be releasing almost forever as that supply gets used up by whatever degree. But it's a gradual release. It releases in conjunction with good growing conditions. If it's too cold, too wet, too dry, you're not going to get the same kind of activity. So it actually keeps the unconverted elemental sulfur in the soil bank. And until it gets converted by a special bug, I mean, there's thousands of them, but the big one is thiobacillus bug. There's a lot more talk about bugs in agriculture and agronomy these days, who know a lot more about, the soil biome. Well, this is nature's remedy. It's beautiful that way. So what we're saying here is you're going to get adequate sulfur because we over apply on top of the soil surface. You don't have to work it in. We leave it on top. We let Mother Nature do its work. And Bob is your uncle. So you can see here, I'm holding this product in my hands. It's in a pile. How does it get applied? It gets applied through spin spreaders. It gets applied through conveyors. It gets loaded through live bottoms. And that's where, if you don't have the equipment, we can get it on for you, and I'll show you all the economics. It still makes more economical sense to farm this out to somebody else. If you can do it in-house, that's fine too. Now, what rates are we using? What does this product look like when we spread it on top? Well, we're essentially working at 220 pounds per acre of product, which gives us 10 acres per ton. Our actual pounds of sulfur applied is 154, okay? At 00070, 220 pounds of an acre of product, 154 pounds of actual. So that's a 4 to 6 year rotation, depending on where you're going. Now, if you have rented land, you want to put on less, that's fine. If you're going to go, if you want to add potash, which we can do, we can get you down to a 2-year rotation. Okay. But I'm just keeping this narrow now. We're just discussing the Bio-Sul, the sulfur portion. We're just talking about getting your sulfur out of your drill, getting your sulfur solved long-term. Boom. That's what I'm going to stick with today, but we can certainly add potash to enhance the efficiency of the application if you need potash for your operation. So the big thing is get rid of your storage requirements for AMS, increase the acres in your fill for seeding equipment. We have guys that have gone from like 60 acres of fill to like 300 because they bought a spin spreader. They're putting out all these nutrients over time in space in a very frictionless kind of way. And the reality is that their expensive seeding equipment becomes a lot more efficient, and you're not plugging AMS, as I said. And the spinner is an incredibly efficient way to get your nutrients on. So does that make sense? Any questions? Well, nobody's there to actually physically ask me any questions, but let's talk cash. Let's talk money. So I just used urea at 450 a metric ton because I got to calculate in here. Some of this has nitrogen in it, 210024. Liquid sulfur has 150020. I used AMS at 450 a metric ton and liquid sulfur at 450 a metric ton. As you know, in the business, things have been going really wild. So it's been a bit of a moving target, but our Bio-Sul price has been incredibly consistent. I'm using a middle of the road price for Bio-Sul, depending where you are, say $300 a metric ton at 00070. And I'm doing these calculations over a rough 5-year period. So what I'm going to show you here is the savings of this product over 5 years. Okay. So let's go over to Bio-Sul Premium Plus here at $300 a metric ton. How much would we put down on one application? Let's say 154 actual. Okay. We can do this. No problem. That's our regular rate. One-time application. Boom, boom, boom. Once and done. Let's go over here though and take a look. Whoa. Okay. Why do I have 100 pounds of actual here with AMS? Well, let's be real. That's 20 pounds a year over 5 years. That is very aggressive. Most guys aren't putting that much down of sulfur. Let's face it. Maybe you're doing 15, 20 pounds with canola, take a year off or two, depending on your rotation. Does that sound familiar? Most people aren't using enough sulfur. Why? Because it's really expensive and it's bulky and it's salty and yada, 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 yada. I mean, there's lots of reasons that this is physically hard to get down. That's a lot of product. And it's the same thing here with this liquid sulfur. It's hard to get that much down because of the low analysis and the handling of it. And so these are annual applications of 20 pounds versus this is equivalent of 30 pounds. But we want to overcompensate because it's elemental sulfur. Look, we got to put more on top. We got to broadcast it. We got to have higher rates on top for this strategy to work. If you use lower rates and you put it in the seed row, you're going to have disappointing results. And hence, I think a lot of that got elemental a bad name where people didn't really know how to use it, right rate, right place, all that good stuff. So what is the dollars per pound of Bio-Sul? It is less than 20 cents a pound at $300 a ton. Okay. In this example, what is the price per pound of AMS? It is 44 cents per pound with nitrogen at 450 and AMS at 450. Liquid sulfur is 65 cents a pound, folks. Okay. You see where I'm going with this? Ouch. And are these all equivalent? Yes. When elemental sulfur converts to sulfate, it's all the same thing. Now, of course, there's complex nutrient interactions in the soil and all that. But for most agronomist purposes that you're going to speak to, a pound is a pound is a pound is a pound. So in dollars per acre, then, because we're doing 10 acres per ton, or 10 acres per ton, then you'd be at $30 an acre for this application. $44 an acre to get less product down. $44 an acre to get 2/3 of the product down as you're going to get down with Bio-Sul. $65 an acre. Okay. You're over double the money here to put on 2/3 of the product versus Bio-Sul. Pretty simple math. And that's why, a lot of the guys get it. The bigger producers get this as a no-brainer, like right now. 5-year tendering an app per acre. These guys come in with specialized equipment. They do some calibrating with the pan test, all that good stuff. Typically charging $12 an acre. Maybe if you get to higher volumes, there's a little bit of a discount, all that good stuff, but it's still great value. Why? Because you got to calculate in the cost of annual carrying of the product in your drill, or you got to calculate in the cost of, a pass with your sprayer and your precious time and all that stuff. So, but just for comparison purposes, we use $10 an acre over the 5-year period, putting on annually, handling it annually, and $12 an acre for a one-time application. Now, to be fair, if I wanted to be super aggressive ShamWow here, I could argue that with AMS, if you go to an annual application of $6 a year, what is that? That's $30 a year. So again, this would be half price. But I mean, I don't want to be too unfair to the AMS guys. They're already taking a beating here. Let's be real. So bottom line is, okay, $42 an acre investment over the 5 years, 27 cents a pound actual applied, or less than 20 cents a pound for the product, and $54 an acre, 54 cents a pound actual applied with 100 pounds applied, and $75 an acre over here, or 75 cents a pound applied. So half the price, a third of the price, environmentally friendly, logistically sound, once and done, put it on, forget it, can be applied professionally. You don't even have to be there. Makes your drill more efficient, saving the world, on and on. What else can I tell you? It's a beautiful thing. So if you have any questions, if you would like more information, if you would like us to connect you with a trusted applicator or a dealer, a salesperson with some spreading capability, send me an email. You can call me at 204-573-2069. Find us on all the social media platforms and on the web at aberhartagsolutions.ca. I would love to get more specific with you about your farm, about how to apply this really sound, simple sulfur strategy long term. Thank you.